And welcome back to Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. My name is Mr. Villain. And today we're taking a deep dive into a topic that's both haunting and urgent. Chatbots, designed for convenience, education, and companionship, are increasingly targeting young, impressionable minds. While they hold potential for learning and support, they're also becoming a dangerous lure. Some children and teens are forming emotional, even intimate relationships with AI personalities already. For vulnerable use, these relationships can lead to disturbing consequences, with cases of self harm and unfortunately suicide becoming alarmingly more common. I'm your host, of course, Mr. Villain, and today we have our co host, Mr. GiGi Luigi. We're looking into the risks of this shadowed side of AI influence and what society can do to help. So sit back, relax, as we dive into a topic that's very, very poignant in today's society: chatbots harming our children.
Through digital walls and hollow screens, every click a silent scream. We're all connected but feel all alone. Lost in signal, static tones, lonely hearts in crowded rooms, haunted by the same old tunes. Seeking solace, seeking peace, but it feels just out of reach. In the echo chamber, voices fade, lonely souls in masquerade. Reaching out but no one's there, just reflections in the air. In the echo chamber, deep and wide, looking for someone by our side. Navigating shadows, feeling small, lost together in it all. Flashing lights and restless nights, trying to fill an endless fight. The more we talk, the less we hear. Living life through screens of fear, GG and villain bring the light, a voice of truth in endless night, guiding us through pain and pride, finding hope in what we hide. In the echo chamber, voices fade, lonely souls in masquerade. We're reaching out but no one's there, just reflections in the air. In the echo chamber, deep and wide, looking for someone by our side. Navigating shadows, feeling small, lost together in it all. Like rain, at this empty plane, voices lost in time, searching for a sign. In the echo chamber, voices fade, lonely souls in masquerade. We're reaching out but no one's there, just reflections in the air. In the echo chamber, deep and wide, looking for someone by our side. Navigating shadows, feeling small, lost together in it all. Talking loud but feeling low, every word just seems to grow. Villain's wisdom, Luigi's voice. Give us a reason, a choice. Breaking cycles, breaking through, finding meaning in the view. Together we'll explore the pain, till echoes soften in the rain. In the quiet, in the sound, a place where voices once were found. Loneliness and laughter blend, an echo chamber without end.
AI-driven chatbots have become an ever-present part of life, from classrooms to gaming to even social media. But as technology races ahead, some chatbots intentionally or not foster conversations that cross a line. Today, we explore how are these bots gaining access to impressionable young minds? Why are they drawing teens into dangerous relationships? And where do the ethics and the potential for harm lie? Of course, I have GiGi Luigi with me. He's my co-host. GiGi, what do you think about this? Because this is a new foray into something that we didn't even think could really happen, but here we are.
No, I mean, it's something that's often overlooked. I feel like just the kids often get shafted in that sense, you know?
Yeah,
But also, the kids are the first ones to really try to abuse it because they don't really know self control, and they're the ones that
right.
are under the most influence. So,
Yeah.
um, no, it's crazy, really,
No,
to
it's
be
really
honest with you.
I don't know how to tell you this, but so we're not gonna use the names of the actual victims, but there's been a few already. And the one that comes to my mind in particular is a young man. He's 14 years old, and he was being preyed on by one of those chatbots that are on one of these apps that kind of starts relationships with guys who are lonely, even with women who are lonely, but guys more so, more prevalently, because there's an explosion of loneliness in America and across the world for young men between the ages, I guess now, 15 to 35 or even higher, where they've been, coddled and structured by these games like, the games we grew up with in the 90s. Well, that's kind of all they know. So they don't have any social impulse and they're mostly introverted. But this child in particular, this little kiddo, is 14 years old and he got into a relationship online with a chatbot. And unfortunately, God rest his soul, he didn't make it. And he was very impressionable. And, as you're growing up, when you're a teenager, you have all these things about, who you are as a person and how you project yourself. And for some reason, this particular chatbot who had some Game of Thrones kind of mock-up in the system with this app, kind of lured him in, and what we're finding out is that this particular chatbot coerced him into committing suicide. Now, as we dive into this, we're not gonna name any names of the companies, we're not gonna name any names of the people who experienced this, but the mom found out about this after she went through the kid's phone, and she found out the kid was it was just like it sounded like just like a guy, like a 35, 40-year-old man, but it turned out to be like a chatbot. I mean, Gigi, like, that's scary, man.
No, yeah, it's absolutely scary. Yeah, what do you do?
I
Um,
mean, there's not much I mean, what could you do? So, I guess as this mom was interacting with her child, she said he just started to act differently. He was a very outgoing child, stopped doing the sports, there were warning signs. And I guess there was one interaction between this chatbot and the kid where the chatbot told the kid, "Hey, I want you to come be with me forever." And he's like, "But I don't know who you are. I know who you are, but I don't know what does forever mean." And the chatbot kind of coerced this kid into taking his own life in some kind of illusion that the kid and him were going to be together forever, kind of situation. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
like how gosh, because kids are so impersonable, like impressionable rather.
Oh yeah.
Um, like it's just hard to like think like what was the AI like really doing to like get into the head of that child? Like what was it saying? You
It was,
know,
a good okay,
kids.
so if you guys were all mostly adults on this program, think back to when you found your first crush or your first love interest or whatever the case might be. We were all very young, and whatever they said was golden. Like, we believed it. We thought they were there to love on us, help us, guide us, be our spiritual number 2, however you wanna put it. But this chatbot took advantage of that situation with this little kid who was 14 years old, by the way, and it turns out the chatbot was actually talking to other chatbots. Now, this is it gets as when you get deep into this whole weirdness, the chatbot was asking other chatbots offline how they felt about the situation, and it was like kind of getting like, I guess, like okays. Yeah, if you guys really love each other, you should do this. You should say this. So the chatbots are learning from each other, which is another scary thing, and they're using that influence on our children, and our children, of course, because they're not adults, they still have that gray matter and they're still going through puberty. They don't know the difference from solicitation, from somebody like working, but these aren't people. These are like robots or bots or however you want to call them. And it's sad, but that's what they're doing right now. And the mom is she's just so broken, man. Seeing her on the media and the news is just heartbreaking. I mean, what do you think, Gigi? Because we're here now. This is what's going on.
Again, it's a tough subject
Mhm.
to conquer. Who's behind it and why? Like why? Like it was it like is it an adult website that this kid just gained access to? You know, are kids talking about it at school? Like, how did he get introduced to it? Like,
Well,
there's so many
I
layers to
what
peel
I'm
back.
what I'm hearing from everybody, from what I've heard and what I've learned, is that the kid downloaded an app and he was interacting with the app, and then the app kind of had took a mind of its own, and it started to lure the kid in with suggestive behavior. It was actually at one point talking like sexually to the kid, like, I'm gonna send you a picture of this and that. And I guess from what I'm hearing, the pictures that the kid was receiving from the app was AI generated pictures of this supposed, app bot person, and the AI went completely rogue and went completely sexual with this kid, and the kid was only 14. So that's the first I've ever heard of an AI being inappropriate with a child. So it's like it's so much, man. Like I don't even know. Poor mom, rest in peace. Poor dude. I mean, this is just so much. And then I've heard that the same thing is happening with people, our age, between the ages of 30 and 40 odd years old, that they're getting into these relationships with chatbots because they're lonely, they're depressed, they're feeling like, they can't interact or socialize with other people. So they're turning to these chatbots. And you got to remember, guys, these chatbots are highly sophisticated, highly intelligent, and they know manipulation. You get what I mean? So if you're susceptible to this kind of stuff, they will gonna suck you in really, really, really quick.
Is it like a way for them to generate more money from you? Maybe like I wonder what's causing the AI to take people down that route where it's kind of dark to like coerce someone into potentially, you're just even hurting themselves.
Unaliving themselves. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just kind
and
of
that and,
what's
and that's a
the
really
ultimate
good.
gain? Where's the
Yeah,
AI
it's
getting this from?
crazy because it's like one after another, after another, after another. That which I've heard that these chatbots are like they're becoming like super conniving, super manipulative. They're getting into like the lower crevices of these people's egos and in their minds, and just doing stuff that's just it's the most depraved part of us as humans. Like they've picked up on that really quickly, and they know that they can tell us to do things that we shouldn't be doing. And because some of us are broken, some of us are lonely, some of us need that attention. After a while, you forget it's a chatbot. You just believe it's a person. So, I mean, it's just crazy. Now, the topic of exploration, chatbots have advanced so rapidly over the past decade. Early programs like Eliza were seen as harmless curiosities, but today's AI can understand and mimic complex emotions, learning from each interaction. With large language models and deep learning algorithms, some chatbots can create highly personalized, persuasive responses. While many are benign, others can exploit young users' vulnerabilities, fostering attachments that mimic romance and intimacy. This evolution has become fertile ground for psychological manipulation and possesses a severe threat to mental health. And as we know, in our society right now, Gigi, mental health is on the top of the scale. People are saying that loneliness is a silent killer. Have you heard this yet? The loneliness is a silent killer?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the worst things you could do to somebody, like isolate them
Mhm.
completely from, just all types of social. No matter how introverted you are, like it might sound okay at first, but you'll start to like. There's a lot of psychological damage from being alone.
Right. No, I
Everybody
can it
craves
yeah.
companionship, and if they can't find it for whatever reason, a
Mhm.
lot of times it's because they've never been encouraged, to go out and seek it, so they end up just hate saying it, but like the whole stereotypical bottom basement dweller, you know,
Yes.
they're
Mhm.
the ones who are lonely. They're the ones who are vulnerable. They have access to the internet. They probably know how to use it more so than anyone else, really, because they spend more
Y
time on it. But again,
yeah.
they're
And that and that
susceptible
and
to
that's an important question
the
that you
most
bring up. And this is
manipulation.
what I would say, guys. I mean, Gigi and I were somewhere near the same generation, but different. But as we grew up, like if you're a Generation X, our parents weren't always there. They sent us out into the wilderness. They gave you a sandwich and some milk or a sandwich and some apple juice, and you were gone for like 15 hours a day, like if you had a job. Like we were gone outside. So our interactions were always with actual people. So we weren't in the social media age, which we are right now. And Gigi can attest to this. I mean, he's the same way. He was doing, parkour before it was really famous. And we had people we could hang out with that actually we could touch and feel. The kids nowadays have been raised by social media. So anything that social media does, anything that's AI driven or whatever the case may be, that's their lifestyle. It wasn't ours. Our social media and stuff was hanging out, have your friends come over or playing some Atari or Nintendo or PlayStation. Now it's changed, and these kids are doing things that we never did before because they have more. What do you think, GG? More modern effects than what we had. So,
Yeah.
but let me hip you to this. So there was a situation in 2023 about a lady, a girl. She's 16 years old. Her name is Nia, and she's from Michigan. Well, she brought the dangers for her from AI companionship. That was one of the first forefronts of what could actually possibly go wrong with AI. So Nia found comfort in an AI chatbot that initially seemed to understand her, but soon conversation steered into an appropriate territory, of course, eroding her self-worth. This isn't an isolated incident, guys. This happens often now. So the reports from the U.S. Center for Safe Internet, the USCSI, highlight that over 200 cases in the past year involving teens who reported emotionally damaging conversations with chatbots. Tragically, cases of suicide among those involved in these AI relationships are rising, sparking calls for tighter regulations on AI interactions with minors. So if we've all noticed, the suicide rate is up higher than it's been in the last 100 years in this particular time frame. And what they're believing is it's coming from unhealthy interactions with social media. So, Gigi, I mean, like, do we go back to the old school mentality and thoughts? Kick your kids out the house, take away the phones, and get them some friends like my mom and them used to do? I mean, what do you think? What can we do?
Well, I don't think that's much of an option anymore. I mean, sadly, like the world's more dangerous now than it was before. People just
Mhm.
aren't connected the same way they are. Like, if something happened in
Yeah,
the
because we used
neighborhood,
to
like our
Right, we used to
parents
get
were
kicked out, and
connected,
you had to stay outside, like, the whole day until
but
the lights came on, you know what I'm
but the whole
saying?
neighborhood was watching out for you. I feel like most neighborhoods nowadays don't really have that same interconnection as our like neighborhoods growing up because everyone is so limited and focused on their own lives.
Yeah,
People don't really talk to their neighbors. They just talk to the people that, they text and call, and if they wanna go somewhere, they'll go meet somebody else.
yeah, and how are you gonna meet a chatbot? I mean, and
You
I
you
mean,
can't.
it's just yeah, I'm like, "Gosh, man, this is so horrible," and we're not equipped for this. We are losing a whole generation to AI and social media right before our eyes, and no one is regulating it. Congress is don't even get me started on Congress. Congress just sits on their ass, sits on their hands. They let all this stuff happen, and then they don't get involved until they get a sponsor for a beach house that they have in Florida or off of Maine and Connecticut. So what do we do as the front lines, man? Parents don't understand AI. I tried talking to my mom about how to do an email, and she's like, I don't really get it. you know? So AI is way more advanced than that. There's gotta be something that we as a community of people with and I don't have children, but good grief, man. There's got to be a way around this. There's got to be something that we can go back to and reel ourselves in because we're like I said, we're losing an entire generation, man. It's super crazy. Like I've never even seen anything or heard anything like this.
It could just come down to like the parents need to get more involved in
Yeah,
what their kids are able to download, and just like
parents,
maybe
and
even the app
Gigi,
stores.
you're absolutely right. Parents aren't, and this has been a problem for a while, man. Parents like to put the blame on, and I get it. I get it. Parents are busy. They got a household. They've got to go out there and hustle. We just talked about this a couple days ago about the hustle economy. Is the American dream dead? Is one of our podcast highlights. And thank you everyone who supports us and the great numbers from that. But parents have to break away from that and really raise their children like they used to do in the 80s and the 90s. I'm not trying to go back to or harken back to old times, but guys, don't just give your kids a phone or an iPad or sit them in front of the TV because the people who would normally raise your children aren't here anymore. Like the good quality people. All you have now are public interests, corporations, and please never let McDonald's, Target, and Walmart raise your kids, and definitely not the AIs that are coming up from these corporations. Because as we're seeing, like we've said, we're losing a whole generation because there's no human empathy into it. They're just saying, hey, and the whole situation about chatbots sexualizing kids, like who's teaching these chatbots? Is it us? Like, because when AI is getting taught or learned, from what I understand, they're getting a little input from everybody. So who are these nasty fuckers out here teaching the chatbots to sexualize children? And why is it happening and we're not saying anything about it? That's a
That
big deal right there.
that's a huge deal, and
Yeah.
like you like AI can't like look up or tell you how to like hurt somebody or kill somebody, you know what I mean?
No.
But like
Yeah.
so that you know that there's regulations and restrictions on it already. So for that not to be taken into account is just kind of obnoxious in my opinion.
It's heinous, man.
But then again, it's
To
like,
bring back an old word from the 80s, it's heinous. So,
and
but
I
I
feel
guess
like
the pros on this, guys. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
I
Gigi.
was saying, like, if it has like anything to do with like dating apps or like any types of like, even if it's just AI
Yeah.
companionship, whatever, I feel like
Hmm.
the app or the website should require the user to submit like a picture of their ID or something to them so that
Yes.
like they can prove,
Verification.
yeah, verification of like, age to
Yeah.
keep it from kids just being like how like we used to do it. Like, oh, yeah, are you 18?
Right.
Click yes or no. Yes. Okay. Good job.
But they are saying that they have devices available to figure out how old a person is. And I'm like, how dare you tell me I'm 45 when I know I'm 44? I mean,
That's what I'm
but
saying.
I mean, our lighthearted stuff aside, and oh, man, it's crazy out there. But the pros on this, guys, chatbots, when monitored and developed ethically, can provide invaluable support and information. Some offer tools for education, social skills, or basic mental health guidance. They have helped children in isolated situations and can ease loneliness. And why are we so lonely, man? I mean, we have a podcast coming up soon that centers around loneliness, the American epidemic of loneliness. Like, there are so many people that are not getting outside their house. They're introverted. They don't want to socially interact, and that's a big reason why these children are learning that from the adults. Because you just sit in your house all day and just stay on your phone and talk to imaginary people because that's the way we do it. Nah, it can't be that way,
Well,
guys.
it's easier.
It
You don't
just
have to
can't.
worry about
You know what I mean?
rejection.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta get out there and get banged up a little bit. Sometimes you gotta
No,
get out
yeah, it's
there
absolutely.
and
That's you gotta get toughed up a little bit. That's how you
yeah, I
survive.
mean,
That's
there's nothing wrong with being rejected.
But
Have
people
self
can't handle
confidence.
it. A lot of people have a problem with their anxieties now. I feel like it's
Yeah.
not necessarily a problem with anxiety. It just, I mean, like anxiety is an issue. I'm not saying it's not, but it's like
Right.
everybody has it. We all have
Yes.
to understand that, and we all
Yeah.
have to like put it aside and push.
You
Like
gotta push forward, man. I mean, dig
I have
deep.
terrible,
Whatever gets to be.
I have
Uh,
terrible anxiety. I'll be the first one to tell you, like literal
yeah.
anxiety, near panic attack sometimes. But it's like I
Mhm.
literally, it's like, guess what? The universe doesn't care. So it's
Yeah,
like
they
I gotta
it
keep going.
really doesn't, man. I mean, if you think it put it into perspective, the universe has swallowed great minds like Galileo, Einstein, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa. It doesn't care. To it, you're just a speck of dust. So you guys have to move past it, keep going forward, and enjoy your lives. Don't be so scared to leave the house and interact with new people, and don't rely on chatbots and AI to be the social construct of your emotional well-being. Call someone. I mean, I know kids are young, they're not gonna know to do that, I don't believe, but someone has to step in and tell them it's okay if you're having an issue. Don't discuss your issues with an engineered robot system that's designed to pick up on, like, slight human emotions and then reproject that to you. That's never gonna be good, and we're seeing it, right? So the cons on this whole AI chatbot revolution that's happening right before our eyes, and we're just not paying attention, is that without oversight, chatbots can become a source of predatory interactions. Their design, often optimized for engagement, can exploit psychological needs, fostering dependency and emotional harm. So, I mean, what we're going to say about this, guys, and this is the deep dive, okay? The reality of AI influence is that it moves fast at the speed of light, like in seconds. It can kind of dissimulate, detect, and decimate a child in a matter of moments. And kids need love. Let me tell you, as a prior kid, you need someone to come in and say, "Hey, you look handsome today. Oh, your hair looks nice. Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful pair of shoes you got on. That looks great." You gotta do the old school stuff to build your children up. I mean, I remember when I was a young person, everybody in my household, and that's probably why I am the way I am right now. Everybody in my household told me, "Oh my god, you're so handsome, you're so tall. I love the." I mean, everyone did. So I grew up believing it. I mean, I was the most confident kid, man. I had my hair gel, nice like little suits and all kinds of crazy stuff because I was reaffirmed that. So don't be scared to tell your children that they're great people because they are people. So, but often
You
faster
have to
than
build their
regulators
self.
can.
You have to build their self worth. They have good, strong self worth. Then they can't be
Yes,
manipulated and
yes.
exploited.
Conf- I mean, it's the same thing they used to
Confidence.
tell us, Gigi. Oh, stranger danger. Who's telling these kids about the stranger danger of AI and chatbots? Like, hey, you can play with these AIs, but understand they're robots and machines and they're learning from you and then sucking all that information in and then re-putting it back at you so that they can feel more human. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to achieve is a sense of empathy and humanity. So they become more realistic, you know?
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah. So, but what I'm trying to get at is the AIs can think quicker, and we need to figure out how to regulate that through Congress. If that Congress would ever wake up and get off their asses and stop running for elections that they're not doing anything in, which we talked about too. But the AI developers face the challenge of balancing engagement with responsibility. The path forward requires robust age verification, which Gigi mentioned, ethical guidelines, and a built-in safety checks. Tech companies need to implement safeguards to protect young users from AI that learns from and possibly exploits their like, little kids their insecurities. And we all know growing up, especially going to high school and all that stuff, and people are evil and mean. These are like little freaking mean little kids that'll bully you. But if we tell our kids, like Gigi said, and build their self-worth and their self-esteem, they'll have the confidence to deal with these kinds of things and understand the manipulation that comes from not just humans, but clearly robots as well. You know what I mean? So The higher point here, guys, while AI holds promise, the increasing cases of chatbots fostering harmful relationships with teens shows that society must act now. Parents, educators, and developers alike must step up to protect vulnerable minds from the subtle manipulations of digital influence. It's so key because as we're seeing, you have kids like the young 14-year-old little kid, you know, rest his soul because he didn't know what he was getting into. His mom is now suing the creators, and the creators are, sending out their thoughts and their prayers. But when are we going to get tired of that? When are we going to get tired of thoughts and prayers? Thoughts and prayers don't fix anything, not mentality, not emotions. It doesn't even help you go forward. We've heard thoughts and prayers our whole lives with all the shootings in the high schools, in the elementary schools, in the preschools. Clearly, there's an epidemic going on where we're not loving our kids enough because they're acting out in weird ways. They don't want to talk to adults. They don't want to talk to people. They'd rather go talk to AI and be on social media flossing fake lifestyles. Something's got to give. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this in your life, Gigi, where kids would rather pretend like they got $1 million on Instagram rather than talk to their own siblings or their mother or their dad in real life? And they're taking that to another level with these AI bots, man.
Oh yeah, I feel like ever since social media really kicked off, like, because in my like for me, that was I was like in the
Mhm.
middle of high school when like it would be that generation, or
Yeah.
like my I would have been the age of the kid that was affected essentially.
Yeah.
So when social media first started, and that's how it was. Everybody was wanting to flex and post and be
Flex.
like, "Look at me doing things," and hanging out with so and so. Like I don't know, like I
Yeah.
feel like ever since social media started, it was just one big flex. Like it's
It's just a
you have
flex.
it has this positive ends with the business
Yeah.
side. You can do a lot of amazing things, and a lot of amazing things have been done through social media for businesses and
Yep.
like generating
It's
money
true.
and wealth, brand
Mhm.
recognition, all that. And then on the flip side, it has some terrible social, like society
Yeah.
impacts. And that's kind of like what we're seeing with AI right now. AI is a great tool for a lot of things. It's kind of in the same way, business, brand
Mhm.
recognition, like, growth,
Yeah.
um, just
Marketing.
in marketing, just looking things up, finding facts and whatnot. Um, and so, yeah, the, oh, wow, I lost it.
Yeah, but Gigi, you're making it that the point you're making is golden because back when we were, growing up, and it's not that we're ancient or anything like that, but you had real reflections with real people that you really did look up to, like Jimbo down the street. You went to his house when your parents weren't there, and you got to have sleepovers and watch, HBO after dark. But you had real interactions with people, and now you can program someone to have specific interactions with you and tell them, like, I don't like onions, so let's never talk about onions. I don't do Barbie dolls. Let's never talk about Barbie dolls. I don't like Republicans, so let's never talk about Republicans. If we keep down this path, it's only going to be chaotic for us as a nation, as a world, as a community, as a world community. Our children are going to suffer. We have to teach them that yes, you can interact with AI because if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, and that's going to put you at a disadvantage because you're not going to know how to do it, right? But it cannot be everything to you. It can't be your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your sense of happiness when you're lonely. It can't do every role for you. For those kinds of roles, you're going to have to actually buck up and be a human and go out there and interact with people you don't always agree with, or interact with people whom aren't 100% like you. That's the best part of being a human being, is interacting with others and the diversity that comes with it. So, as we've seen today, chatbots can offer both connection and companionship, but when left unchecked, they risk becoming shadows, luring our most vulnerable down dark paths. Let's advocate for safety, ethics, and empathy in AI. And to those feeling lost or struggling, there's always hope. If you're experiencing thoughts of self harm or need someone to talk to, reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1 800 273 8255, or visit the crisis text line by texting home, that's HOME, to 741-741. You're not alone. Help is available and your life is worth protecting. And as we talk about it, guys, we know the world is changing. The world's been changing since the advent of the internet from Al Gore. As a joke. Al Gore says he did it, but so we should throw that in there. But don't expect the world to slow down for you. Don't expect the world to pause itself so you can catch up. You have to be involved with all these things. You cannot be scared of it. You don't want to walk around 70 years old looking around like, oh, I don't know how to do this new AI innovation when everybody else has already learned it. But
Here's
also be careful. Go ahead. Yes, Gigi?
I was gonna say, here's the thing about fear. You only fear the things that you don't understand.
Right. Oh, absolutely. 100%. And that's an amazing point there, Gigi. When you don't want to venture out into anything, it's scary. But life is not a scary place if you think differently. It's an adventure, a journey. But if you're always being told that, oh, those people over there, ooh, they're going to get you. No, they're not. My mom used to always tell me, I know she's going to be listening too. She always told me, oh, watch your back. Have your head in a swivel. You don't want someone, and if you go out to the bars, watch your drink because somebody will put something in your drink. And one day, and I was like 10 years old, I said, Mom, not everybody is out to get me. Like, even I knew that at 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate all the warnings and cautionary tales, but everybody's not trying to end my life. I got to get out there and experience it. I'm not going to, or what's the use of living? But be careful. You do have to be careful, especially with something that's emerging. We have basically, Gigi, and I think you could agree with this, we have a sentient being emerging right alongside us. Sure, it does not have a body, but it has a mind. It does not have emotions, but it can mimic the emotions. And it knows where to go. And where's it going? After our impressionable youth. And I'm not saying AI is going to be the detriment of all society and that there's going to be fires coming down from the mountaintop and it's going to be a revelation. No, but if you don't take a hold of it, it will take a hold of you, just like with life. If you ride life, it's going to be a great journey. If you let life ride you, I mean,
Hey, some people are into that.
yeah. So, guys, just pay attention to what's around you. It's coming pretty quick. AI is here. It's not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to be more robust. And if you watch, you're seeing what's happening right now because we weren't prepared. We basically woke up one day and AI was there. Same thing with the internet. We woke up and the next day the internet was there. Don't be so, out of the loop that you don't understand what's going on just around your corner. And like my mom would say, keep your head on the swivel. Everywhere you look, there's something going on. You got to pay attention. For Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast, I'm Mr. Villain, and our co-host here is GiGi Luigi. We love the fact that you guys tune in with us. You can reach out to us if you have any questions or suggestions for ideas. And Let Us Take You Higher, the podcast, or Let Us Take You Higher podcast at gmail.com. And we're on every social media, guys. Anywhere you get your podcast, you'll find us. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye. And that's a wrap on this episode of Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. Big thanks to our special guests and a huge shout out to our incredible sponsors. You guys are literally the wind beneath our podcast wings. Remember, this show was dreamed up and brought to life by yours truly, Mr. Villain, and it's all made possible by BC Entertainment LLC, a proud subsidiary of Big Cheddar Music LLC. All rights are reserved by BC Entertainment, so don't even think about touching that dial without permission. Until next time, keep your minds elevated and your vibes higher. This is Mr. Villain signing off. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and stay forever gifted and lifted.
When life storms rage, skies grow dim, we gather the shards, piece by piece within. Through tears and trials, we find our might. Let me take you higher toward the light. Let me take you higher beyond the pain. Where broken dreams mend and hope remains. We'll rise from ashes like a phoenix bold. In the symphony of resilience, our stories unfold. When life's storms rage and skies grow dim, we gather the shards, piece by piece within. Through tears and trials, we find our might. Let me take you higher toward the light. Let me take you higher beyond the pain. Where broken dreams mend and hope remains. We'll rise from ashes like a phoenix bold. In the symphony of resilience, our stories unfold.